What is going on? This is Coach Coleman, Jesse Coleman, and you're checking into another episode of Breakthrough Blueprint, the podcast, where we help you tap into your full potential. This week, I got somebody on here. It's a big thing. Like, I reached out to him, like, when I first started the podcast, but my timing was off where I wasn't able to get him on. But things happen when they supposed to happen. I am a big believer in that. And I'm fresh off vacation, back to Chicago, back ready to go. And I met him. Ooh, I think it was a little bit before we had an event in Nashville, I think it was. And it was him and other people from Virginia. And I remember I told him, I'm like, and this was before my homie got into real estate. I'm like, man, I love the way you and your people show up when it's time to do stuff. Like I gotta get my homies into real estate. I gotta get my homies into this so we can show up and do things like that. And this is somebody that leads by example. It's not just somebody that talk a lot of stuff, but he shows it. Like, he locked in over the past few months, and we'll talk about more what the arena he's stepping into. But he locked in for the past few months and made it happen. Now he's on another journey. But without further ado, I'm not going to keep talking. Mr. Jordan Griggs. Jordan, what is going on?
What's good, man? That was a hell of an intro, dog. I might have to pay you to to come introduce me in other spaces, man. I appreciate it. How are you?
Man, I'm doing good. I've been working on my intros. I'm like, if people take time out of their day to come rock with me, I gotta make sure the intro to get the thing
Yeah.
going, make sure it's hot for them.
Hey, that was tough. That was tough. I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Those are some kind words.
Oh, definitely. And before we came on, we had a conversation about a few things, and we'll talk about that during the podcast. But
Sure.
I do want to start off with your why. Like, you wear a lot of hats. You're a father. Um, you are a fiance, right? You are a business owner. What is the why that gets you through? Being having those hats. What is the why that keeps you going through a lot of the things that you're doing?
Yeah, man. That's the $1 million question, right? Uh, where do we start? I think a lot that my why evolves. It's constantly evolving. Um, in the beginning, I think my why was attached to a lot of insecurities. To be honest with you, I didn't come from much. Mom's worked 2 jobs. She was a school teacher, and so had plenty. I had just as much as everybody else around me had. So you know how it is. Like, you grow up, you didn't realize, like, we kind of all were just going through it back then. But I realized as I got older, my why was just to never not have. You know what I mean? To always be able to do what I want, to never have any limitations financially. And that is a whole nother, like, once you get that, you kind of realize you need a little bit more substance behind your why. Because once the money comes in, then it's like, what? So at this point in my life, I would say autonomy is my big why. Freedom. You know what I mean? I want to stretch my hands out and feel no walls. Um, and because with that, I can be the best version of myself to then be able to help as many other people as possible obtain whatever it is their why is. So a little cheesy, but I'm kind of in that space of my life of every every day waking up is a blessing, man. It's like icing on the cake
Yeah.
for me. I have more than I ever thought I could have had, and it's not even that I didn't dream big enough. It's more of the simpler things in life. Like, I have those things. So now I'm just, man, how many people can I help? How many people can I help obtain this same level of freedom, whatever their freedom looks like? So,
Yeah.
no, it's long winded, but that's my why at this moment in my life.
And that's a big thing, though. And as we get older, as you're already a father, and now you have a younger one too. Like,
Yes.
you get to a point where it's like, for me, it's the time, it's the people I'm spending time with. It's the
Right.
money is good for the good it can do. Like, the money
Yeah.
creates that freedom for you, but at a certain point, it becomes a lot more than that. It's like, okay, who can I impact? And the time that we have left here, how can I spend it with the people I love, doing the things I love?
Correct. And I think, Jesse, that's why because I think my natural instinct is to say my children. Um, and they're a part of it. And I don't ever want to, I mean, it's obvious. To me, that goes like the minute you become a father, that's a given. You
It
don't have,
makes it, yeah,
I don't have to relay that to the world. Like, no shit, but
yeah,
I think autonomy encompasses all of that. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like if I got autonomy, then I got time for them. I make time for them. If I have autonomy, then I have the time to go do these things and be able to help as many people as possible. So I think that it starts with the autonomy for me, and then everything else can trickle down in the world, and I can accomplish what I want.
right. It's funny you say that. So that's how I know that I'm on the right path with the right thinking. Because when I talk to people and I teach a class and I say, "What's your big why?" and they say they're kids, I'm like, "That's BS." And I'm like, "What you mean that's BS?"
Yeah,
And I give the example. I say, "Hey, when my alarm goes off and I hit the snooze and I roll over if my daughter in bed with me and I cuddle back up with my big Y, it's not that big enough because
right,
I hit snooze to roll over
right.
and cuddle with her when it should be the alarm go off. I look at her like, okay, let's go, let's get into motion. So yes, it's her, but it's also me showing up in a certain type of way. So it's like, okay, when she get older, we're like, okay, the guy I want to marry or the type of person I want to be,
Mm,
it's what my father showed me
correct.
because he got up early to do this and he's pouring into other people. So I'm glad you said that. So for you all that's listening that struggle with that, that's real. Like it has to be deeper than just that my kids.
Yeah, yeah. I think, man, it might be KW had like it was like the Y exercise and going
Oh
7 layers deep. I don't know if you probably taught it, Jess. You teach
yeah.
some of the day classes. But you ask yourself like why? Like my kids, well, why? Well,
Yep.
because I want them to have what I did. Well, why? Well, because my mom only worked one job. Well, why? Well, her and my pop split and she didn't know any other thing but to I so like you start diving and you realize, and that's why I told you I led with my first wife was very much attached to insecurities. It was attached to what I didn't have, and I'm gonna show the world what I can't get, and I'll never feel that again. You know what I mean, like that. But once you separate from that's why, and I think it was Jim Carrey. He was at a college graduation, and he was speaking, and he said a line that was so cold, Jesse, and like it stuck with me. He was like, I wish everybody in here could get all the money they've ever wanted. Like get everything you ever thought you wanted materialistically so that you can see that it does nothing for you. And Will Smith says something very similar to this too. He's like, you got the mountain top can also feel like the rock bottom. Like get to the top and get all the things you think you wanted, but you realize it's not fulfilling, just so you can take a step back and realize, all right, what is it that I really want to do? So
Yeah.
yeah, that's I just know personally my wife was attached to a lot of insecurities.
Yeah. And you see that a lot with um I'll say famous people because they're famous for their craft, movies, entertainment, all that. Where they struggle, like they
Facts.
have all the money, they can do whatever they want to do, but there's still that piece that's missing,
Right.
and they have that struggle, and it shows. Like it's not just about the money. The money is good for the good it can do, like we learned in our ecosystem. But if you don't have the substance or that why, like you said, that thing behind it, you can get the money and you still feel like you have nothing.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. There's a it's a I hate to be the book recommendation guy. There's a book called The Big Leap. Great
Okay.
book. Yep. Talks about the upper limiting belief and reasons why athletes, anybody that hits the lotto, is broke 2 3 years later. It's because of the thinking and the programming. I think I know myself. I can't speak for everybody out there, or even you. Just like when you don't have like you focus on, and even in our community, like that's it's all about the
Yeah.
bag and money, and like that's a whole other segment, man. Like we got to get out of that mentality. The money will come, and this I'm segueing. I'm kind of like just segueing into a different
Yeah.
space of conversation, but the money will come when you become the person that can handle the money when it comes to you. And like, bro, and like it because I'm not like I tricked off. I don't know how much money in the beginning. You know what I mean? Like when I first came and got into real estate, I went from a kid that never even saw six figures. I was military, made 40, 50,000. First year in real estate, I make $120.
Yeah.
I maybe put enough aside, a little bit aside for taxes, so I ain't go to jail, right? Like I just did the same,
Yeah.
but I didn't. Like I couldn't keep money on me fast enough because of so many insecurities. Like I just wasn't the person that I needed to be at that time to be able to handle that amount of money. Um, and so when I flipped the script on that, I think it's Jim Rohn that talks about this. It's like, stop trying to get $1 million, become the person that is worth like, you know what I mean? Basically become the person that can handle when the $1 million comes, or become $1 million person.
Yeah.
As far as qualities, like I kind of got that turned around a little bit, but it was very much focused on your traits and evolving into a good human being, and then you see the rest will come behind it.
Yeah. And it's crazy because me and my homies, we talked about that a while ago because with the people you grow up with, and it's like, you know what? There's a reason why those things that we didn't work, because we were not ready to
No,
handle
at all.
what it came with that. Like
Right.
we would have been financially irresponsible. We would have probably had kids running around everywhere.
Yeah,
Like, again, if you're not ready for certain things,
yeah,
it's a blessing in disguise that those things don't show up when you
yeah.
want it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that's where a lot of downfalls happen. A lot of depression. There's a conversation to me that doesn't get talked about, and especially in our communities, black and brown, and even lower economics, across the board. So I don't want to exclude anybody when I say this.
Yeah.
So like lower economics, whoever that encompasses, there's a EQ issue, right? I think there's an emotional intelligence issue, and not because of lack of intelligence. There's plenty of we grew up. I grew up with geniuses, where we
Mhm.
grew up from. But when you're in this constant state of survival mode, you don't have that. There's science behind this now. Your brain doesn't have that privilege, right, to develop EQ at the level required to be able to handle these type of situations. So that's why when certain groups or certain people look at us funny, or when we get to act, it's like this is all new to us. Like
Yeah.
I'm developing a part of my brain that didn't have, like I said, the luxury of being developed early on. And so for us, especially, like if we hyper focus on just becoming the person necessary, everything you can dream of and you want it, you think you want, it'll come to you. And that's just how the universe works. You'll attract it.
It's a thing of being, and it's based around the same quote that you were saying, and I think it's actually the same one, but it was sort of like, be the person that you are striving to be right now. So when
Right.
you are that person, it's along that same lines. And we look at it in, if we talk about it in the real estate world, you have a team, right? When you were starting out, it's you had to show up in a certain way to get the business that you wanted to get. It was like you wanted to be a luxury agent. Well, guess what? You need to start showing up
Right.
as a luxury agent. You wanted to be a commercial agent. You need to already be presenting yourself as that. So when it come, you're not, going off of just pure adrenaline trying to just do
Yeah.
something
Yeah. Yeah.
because you're
Trying to
not
push
ready
that.
for it.
Right. I think, well, I know all these cliche sayings that what you and I are sharing right now. I've like dive deep on these, man. There's a neurological response to all of this. Your brain doesn't know the difference from reality and your imagination. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't. So you like you're shaking because you know this. So the whole like act as if it already is. That's you rewiring your brain of this is the person I am. This is the person I am. This is so it's retracking your neural pathways in your head of like, okay, I am a top agent. I am a top. Your brain doesn't know the difference. So if you keep doing that, it will then attract and you become that person. And it's not this hoodoo voodoo stuff anymore. Like there's science, like there's studies behind it. So when you know this, what's one of our sayings? I think it was an old bold saying, but like it ain't easy, but it's simple. Like
Yep.
once you know better, that's a Maya Angelou quote. Once you know better, you got to do better. We
Hmm.
know that if you change your thinking, well, that's when your outside world is just a reflection of what you think about who you are. So it's not just these cool sayings you and I are saying anymore. It's like,
It's
nah,
real.
correct. And now it's all right. Now that I know that, then what needs to happen for me to then evolve into that person? What are the daily habits that I have to have in order to what responses how do I become proactive in certain cases? How do I not respond to certain things? Like how do I practice the thing that millionaire Jesse would be, multi-millionaire Jesse would be in the future?
Yeah.
um so speaking of, side note, this is just me because I'm squirrel brain. I got a referral for you, so I'm gonna throw it out there on the
Oh yeah,
podcast. I
let's
got
do it.
yeah, I got one of my homeboys up there in the Navy. I got you. So,
Yeah.
podcast world,
Yeah.
sorry, this is me being me, but I want to shout my boy.
No, it's good.
I got a Chicago referral for you.
Yes, sir. And
Yeah,
but so I'm glad you said that. So for you all that listen to the podcast all the time, it's one of those situations where your parents can tell you something and you don't listen, but if the neighbor down the street tell you, so what Jordan has just said, I've been saying to you all, right? Your subconscious mind does not know what's real or what's fake.
correct.
What are you putting in your mind? What are you saying about yourself? What is your self-talk? Because the stuff that you're saying is going to hold on to. That's why when we talk about, hey, what is your daily habits? What is your routines? Are you absorbing too much negative stuff? Now your day is going to be negative. You're going to turn into a negative person because you're holding on to that. Right. So
Right.
changing what you're saying. And you said something that I think a lot of people need to really pay attention to is depending on your age and depending on when you lost your innocence. And when I say that, I mean it's like when we were kids, we felt we can do anything. At some point in our life, something happened where we started having these restrictions put on us. So from when we had those restrictions to now, it can be about 20, 30, 40 years of bad wiring that you have to rewire. So you can't think of it as an overnight thing or, oh, next week I should be good. No, it's a continuous work in progress that you have to constantly work on. And that becomes your new norm of doing those things.
I think I know, Jesse, this is why I'm so protective of my son and my daughter's programming. You know what I mean? There's a lot of us out there that we're spending a lot of our time having to rewire and program. Now, I used to feel some type of way about it because to me, that's privilege. That's a piece of privilege. Privilege is some people out there don't have to worry about the rewire as
Nope.
much. Some people out there don't have to worry about their programming as much. Some people out there have developed amygdalas that process and filter out responses better than others. A lot of us don't. So now, because of what you just said, I'm so protective of the love I give to my kids. I show that all the time. To your point, I'm already acting as if I'm the bare minimum of what you should be looking for, baby girl. Like this,
Mhm.
dad is the bare minimum. You should be looking for, for our son. This is the bare minimum of how you should be behaving as a man.
Yeah.
And we're helping with their programming now. So I used to feel some type of way, like God, like I gotta. If
It's
something would
good.
come up and I would respond a certain way, I'm like, that's bad programming. And because of it though, I think it's made us. I don't want to use the word special or even anomalies because I think anybody could get. I know anybody could get to these spaces. You just
Yeah.
really got to put the work in. It's a lot of us uh, platforms to be in these rooms to help as many people as possible because we have to work twice or three times as hard. There's a certain beast that gets kind of developed, and I'm not to
Yeah.
get too like Goggins with it or like too, but there's a certain level of beast that develops, and this goes across man, woman, black, white, Hispanic. I'm telling anybody when
Yep.
you have to rework that programming. I think in a good way, sometimes you overdo it, and so it makes you even that much more like that much better, So
Yeah.
I now look at it as I've reprogrammed my thinking around the reprogramming of like, nah, this is a blessing that I saw and grew up that way, and my innocence was like, very tainted very early in life, just from my surroundings and like stuff I
Yeah.
saw. It's made me who I am today. So not as much like,
Yeah.
damn, you know.
And it gives you that it gives you that extra motivation and push to know that you were able to rewire yourself. And now the impact that you have on people that came from where we came from, that's
Correct.
going through the things we've been through, where they look at you and be like, damn, okay,
Yeah.
I see you doing it. I know I can do it. And
Yeah.
that's one of the things for me that's very big, that like people that know me from my past and know stuff, they be like, man, bro, you motivating us. Like,
Yeah.
keep doing what you're doing. And that's when it's like, okay, the rewiring is working for me, but it's also that trickle effect that now other people are saying, like, okay, if Jesse can do this, if he's being able to do this, if Jordan is doing this, you know what I'm saying? I can do that too. Like, we've been through some of the same things. We know that same struggle. We had that
Right.
same wiring, that if they can work on that, I can do it also.
Yeah. I think there's so much power in proof of concept, like so
Yeah.
much power. It's almost it's almost a slight arrogance for me when I see somebody do something and I'm like, oh, I could do that. You know what I mean? And like that's just the competitor in me, and never to downplay who they are, but I think a lot of us like we're like that. We're wired that way. Of like, yo, I was the class clown, goofy kid in school,
Yep.
barely, you know, like y'all, bro, y'all got this, man. And to your point, I mean, some of my best conversations I've had on Facebook Messenger, man. Homies just hitting me up and like, man, Jay, I see you. You know, there's a lot of times there's like regret, and I don't ever want them to feel like, man, I know I should have joined the Navy. I
Yeah.
should have. I'm like, nah, man, you're right where you should be. And I take one of Gary's lines all the time. It's like, hey, we overestimate what we could do in a year and underestimate what we could do in 5 years. And it's so cliche, Jesse, but it's the truth. So I
Yeah.
said, I'm like, yeah, we're still late 30s coming into our 40s. Like we haven't. I think I read somewhere it's like 40s when you're just kind of now, God willing, if you're still around, and I hate
Yeah.
to be morbid like that, but like you got your health and you still got so much time to like figure things out and get stuff going. You really can be where you want to be in the next 2 to 3 years if you just lock in on something. But
Yeah.
it's that lock in part is the you know what I
That's the
mean?
part they give people. Yeah.
Because that's where the rewiring and the reprogramming has to happen. And there, but there's no more ignorance around it. You know that it has to happen. Now, whether or not you choose to do it, and to your point, Jesse, it's like sometimes you gotta rearrange the crowd you with. You kind of got to step into different spaces, step up into different spaces. A lot of mine was sitting in rooms where it sounded like a foreign language to me, and people were speaking
Yeah.
English. You know what I mean? And it was
Yeah.
business. People were speaking business, and the level of insecurity I had just kind of sitting back there not understanding a damn word they were saying. But I knew if I just kept putting myself in them places and just be quiet, it'll eventually start translating to me. And that's what I've been doing for the last 7 years. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's a big part of the programming too, is just being put yourself in those rooms.
Yeah. And that's where I'm at now. And people, they laugh, but I tell them I'm dead serious. I'm like, now every room I go in, I have to be the lowest person on the totem pole,
Oh yeah.
because I like you, that competition thing, that thing, like, oh, okay, you can do that.
Yeah, yeah.
Say less. I'm on your heels. Like, I'm finna
Right,
show you.
right, right. Which nothing wrong with that, by the way.
Yeah.
Healthy competition is necessary. I think we've kind of gotten away from that too, but yeah.
Oh yeah. And I joke all the time when I teach, or I tell people that I have the Michael Jordan complex, where, and I've shared it on a podcast before. For so you all that listen, you already know what I'm finna say. Where when I go into rooms to teach, I pick one person in the room and I say that person don't like me. That person think I don't know what I'm talking about, and they're just here for a free meal. And
Yeah,
I use that to
I love it.
do it. And it's funny, one class I taught, I picked a guy out, and I just randomly picked people out.
Right.
And it was funny though, at the end of the class, he came up to me like, this is one of the best classes I've ever taken. He like, I
Energy
don't
is
usually
real.
come to classes, but and I'm like, and I didn't tell him, but I'm thinking to myself, like, it's funny because I've said to myself, you're gonna be the person that give me the problem in the class.
Energy is real, man.
But
Energy is real. Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's funny of, like you said, having that healthy competition or having that putting that chip on our own shoulder to be like,
yeah.
because I know me, I know what gets me going, and I know
Right,
okay, I
right,
gotta
right.
have that little chip. So it's just funny that you say that. And then going back to putting yourself in environments with people that that give you that motivation. And I kind of alluded to it a little bit in the intro, but that was one of the big things with UK, what I'm saying, Till, the rest of y'all from the VA, like being around you all, like when we first started, getting to know each other, hanging out at events, I'm like, man, okay, let me step it up. All right. I'm like, I gotta step it up because I want to be in those conversations with them. I want to be able to, like when we put on the pop-up event,
Yeah, man. So dope. That was a great time.
like, and I'm like, I had to show up in a certain way for you all to even say, "Hey, let's do this collective." You could be a part of us doing this. So it
Yeah,
just forced me to like, okay, let me level up and step up, so I can be a part of these things and be able to give back and pour into other people.
correct, correct. Yeah, it's. I mean, shout out to Kay. I think Kay's been on the. He's
Yeah,
been here, right?
Kevin.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I ain't gonna hold that against you. You called him up first. It is what it is. But shout out to Kay. Nah, man, that's my Brody. Kay's a really like he's a pioneer with all that, man. Kay was dropping bread to go look at like go to these conventions a long time ago and would come back and share as much of the information he could with us with anybody willing to listen. I had no problem saying I was one of his students and his pupils, even though we were peers. Um, I had no problem humbling myself to be around him and his presence. And you've been around K Man, and you know how special he is. And that's a big piece too. A lot of, I don't want to talk about it. It can be challenging to play the number two role, or quote unquote, or be the number, the guy in the shadows or the assistant
yeah,
team leader. Those are always the roles I was with Kay. And he'll tell you in a heartbeat, he didn't like when people said, I was like, hey, it don't bother me, man. It takes
yeah,
a certain level of humility, which is tough, especially in our community. Like, it's just like to step back and say,
yeah.
like, I'm not the man anymore and kind of let you lead the way. So, yeah, Kay would go out, do these pieces. And would come back and share. And bro, I made the comment like him and we both run separate teams, right? And everybody always
Yeah.
asks like, well, why don't y'all, merge? And I was like, we talked about it. Uh, he has his vibe with Megan. I have my vibe with Mark.
Yeah,
And we have a saying, and Kay has a saying, and we've even adopted it on pilot collaboration over competition.
yeah,
I've even evolved that saying, like, yeah, it's collaboration over competition. That doesn't mean collaboration, not competition, though. Like, find somebody a worthy opponent. Um, and maybe I might be overstating this. I feel like us as a society have gotten away from that. Like we gotten a little too like I don't want to ruffle. It's like
yeah.
as long as you've used your discernment to put yourself in a space where you're not dealing with haters,
Hmm.
then you got people that really don't rock with you or really don't care about your success or like are rooting from you in the front, but low key like don't want you to surpass them. As long as you kind of weed those group of people out and you find the K, you find the Jesse, you find the Till where, yeah, bro, like you run a top team, you best believe in 2 years I want to be, we want to be on top of you and pause and be,
Yeah,
and go, somewhere. And what that does though is we do that. So Kova is here and the pilot will be here and then we might inch up and Kova. The irony is though, while we're doing that, we're telling each other what we're doing.
what it do? Yeah,
Like we're like people don't realize like oh they're like yeah I jumped up because COVID gave us something that we were trying to do and we executed and we'll sit on the call with COVID and say hey this is exactly what we're doing to train our agents and so yeah as we're going up we're helping each other but we're competing at the same time and having fun. I think that goes understated. Like you have to have somebody in your world that's going to help push you to those levels.
yeah. And it is funny because I always bring this up. For some reason, it always is a good opportunity to bring this up. But I always talk about what Kay said, where it was like, I think you saw it the ladder of life or whatever it is, where you need three people. The one person that's in front of you on the ladder that can pull you up. The person that's on the same step with you, quote
It's in
unquote,
in the
that you're
boat with
locking
you.
arms with,
Yeah.
and then the person that you're pulling up. So for you all with Cova and pilot, it's like that. Like y'all,
Oh,
but
yeah.
you all are helping each other,
Correct.
and you're getting higher up the ladder because you're able to
Correct.
not have that healthy competition, but you're able to collaborate as well. So for you,
1000%.
all that's listening, like, and take this from somebody who is a very isolated person that like because I've always like, okay, I just got to do it myself, that's it.
Yeah.
Like when you put yourself in an environment with people that want to see you win and it's that healthy competition, you start leveling it up so many ways that you didn't know you could
Right.
because of that environment that you're in.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's I mean, it's the old adage, man. Iron sharpens iron. But you get so many perspectives. And like I said, as long as it's tough because it's hard to find real, genuine people that really want to see you win.
Yeah.
And simultaneously, you kind of competing against. So once you get past that part, but I don't want people out there to get hung up on that. Like, oh, well, I can't find. Like, they're out there. Get into these spaces, get into these rooms. They don't have to even necessarily be in the same state. Dixon Daniels in Colorado, Daniels
Yep.
in Denver, and I still call Daniel probably once a quarter. Hey man, what online leads? Like,
Yep.
what's your system there? What does that look like? Hey Jay, here you go, boom. Hey man, I'm looking to do this in mortgage. Like, what's working for you? Here, boom. So just be willing to pick the phone up. Ego and pride, man. I read there's a book, a second book. I try not to be that guy. Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday.
I just picked that up.
Bro,
Just
I
picked it
have
up.
read that book. I just read it for the fifth time on my way to vacation. On my way to vacation, I read it on the plane back there. We go because we had a long trip. Uh, Anytime I hit a new level in life, or I feel I've leveled up, quote unquote, I have to read that book because it regrounds me. It
Mm,
keeps me from going down paths that have gotten me in trouble before. Around behavior, thoughts, thing.
yeah.
Like I reread that book, and every time I find something new because I'm reading it as a new version of myself. So like
Yeah.
I'm seeing it in a totally different way. And so yeah, great book on that was my biggest hurdle was me. I was I was my biggest hater and didn't even realize it, man. You know what I mean? Like I was my biggest hater.
But you know what's funny though, and and you already know this, like from just the positions you're in, the hats you wear, and reading the book that 99. You know what? I'll be generous. 90% of the time,
Right.
it it is our own undoing.
One thousand
It is
percent.
like every time I always say is those unforced errors,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
those penalties that we put ourselves in that position. And again, for you all that's listening, I don't sugarcoat nothing. I am literally just getting out of a bunch of BS from stuff that I did 10, 15 years ago, right? Like my own doing. I can't blame anybody else, can't blame
Right.
society, can't blame the world. It was my own thing. So it's, for one, we have to know that it's up to us. At the end of the day, if we want to make a change, like you said, what I'm saying, we want to rewire. Once we learn about the things,
Yes. I'm glad you came back to like it's that. Yes. Keep going. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Once we learn about the things, where you can't say you don't know.
Right.
Now it's 100% on you to make that change.
Correct. Yeah. I even wanted to stop you, like, and you got to give yourself grace because that Jesse of 15 years ago was running off a programming that he didn't even know what it was, right? It was a whole
Yeah.
different hard drive. And so in the space of grace, understand that I probably did that because some old thinking patterns,
Yeah.
and I probably might even do it again. Like I'm
Yeah.
not perfect. like you said, you have to. It is a constant. Like you have to be constantly working on yourself. And once you understand, I think it's mama mentality of like if you commit every day to becoming a better man, woman, father, son, daughter, whoever, if that's what you want to be and you commit to it every day, well then the progress will be had.
Yep.
And understand though, if you don't, it can unwind and you can retract back to old thinking and habits. And the truth is, and I'm guilty of this, the thought of that is exhausting sometimes. It's like, damn,
Yeah,
I gotta work on myself for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? But it's like, if you want to be great, yeah,
but
yeah.
also to that point, if people, we feel that way, but we've been working on ourselves in a negative way. So
Oh man, great
either
point.
way it goes, we're working on ourselves.
One
The
way or
same way
another. Yeah, that's a
when I
great
talk
point.
when people talk about, on their health journey, like, oh, it's a struggle to eat healthy. Well, it's a struggle to eat bad because now the things you got to deal with eating bad.
Well, that's yeah, and man, that's funny. I'm doing that right now. So naturally slim guy. I don't want to but like I can get out of shape. Like slim fat ain't a good look. I look like the
Yeah.
Grinch I have I got little legs too, man. So I've been I've been focusing on the health thing. It's like Atomic Habits. God, book number 3. I keep throwing these books out, but Atomic
Now
Habits number 1.
keep doing it. Keep doing it.
Don't 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 try to be healthy. Be somebody that is a healthy eater. Like that's who your DNA, that's who you are. You're just somebody. It's like stop trying to quit smoking. Be somebody who doesn't smoke.
Smoke, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you got to rewire the thinking. So it's like I got to measure out macros now. And the thought of that was like, oh my God. But that's who like a man and I are becoming that now. Like that's we
Yeah.
just weigh our food. It looks weird, but that's just what we do now. It's right. So it's effort, and so I want to give the context to anybody listening. Hopefully we got folks out there still with us at this point, 37 minutes in. We gave you a bunch of what, like, hey, this is the things. It's now up to you to chunk it down, and break it into small pieces. And you know what? I don't want to mess the flow of things up. Am I able to
No,
share?
let's go.
Am I able to
Let's
share
go.
screen? Okay.
Oh no, I won't be able to do it.
Okay. I want to share I do a mastery metric. So everything I'm big on, I'm actually going to teach on this about a month from now,
Okay.
locally here. Like I love talking and helping. And I'm also a big proponent of like giving tangibles to people so that you walk away with a
Yeah.
tool too. Like you're not just like, man, I feel really good about that convo Jesse and Jordan had, and back to my old habits.
So let me say this. So for you all that's listening, like I tell you every episode, pause, get a pen and paper, and he's finna go in to give you something to take away from this episode. All right, let's
Perfect.
go.
Yeah, all right. So hopefully you're back. Hopefully you came back, you paused, you got everything you need. Jesse, I'm gonna send you a copy. It's called my Mastery Metrics. All right. So I'm gonna give you a breakdown of it so you understand. It's basically I have 7 personal non-negotiables and 1 business non-negotiable that has to happen every day. It has to happen every day. It's a spreadsheet. And I have right now I'm in August. So I have 1 through 31. August has 31 days, right? Yeah, 31. Each line, each one I have a check box. So whenever I check my boxes for the day, it gives me a percentage at the end of the day of how much of what I wanted to do did I complete? What was my percentage of it, right? It's a formula. And then what makes it even dope, Jesse, is it adds up across the month too. So when I get to the end of the month, my seven non-negotiables are wake up before 7, work out, pray, meditate. Um, 10, I love me's in the mirror. I know that's airy fairy, but that goes back to the neuroplasticity and the rewiring. It's a whole thing behind it.
Yeah.
Journal. Gosh, what's the other one? There's two. Oh, physique coaching. So log my physique coaching to my app, and there was one more. But at the end of the month, I track how many days I did it. So when I get to the end of the month, they'll say, okay, journal. You journaled 87% of the month. Great job. Hey, you prayed, meditated, you only did that 25% of the month. And what you'll learn is you'll get to the end of the month and realize, man, my spiritual vibe was kind of off, well, because you didn't do it. You didn't like there's no more guessing in my life. Well, if you notice, the 7 things I listed were the 7 things I want to get better at.
Yeah.
So that's the cheat code. Like we're giving you all the understanding, right? We give you the foundation of like, hey, this is programming. This is what needs to be rewired. Now all I'm gonna do is challenge you to sit down, think about the things you want to reprogram and rewire, throw them into this spreadsheet, and now track it, right? Because what you measure matters, right? Now it's evidence over emotion, it's data over drama. If I felt like at the end of the month, man, I had a great time and connection with my team, well, guess what my one business non-negotiable is? My one daily business non-negotiable is to send out an encouraging message to one of my team members. If I get to the end of the month and I did that 85% of the month, and I'm noticing my team is vibing with me and we're bouncing off and the energy is good, well, that's because I focused on the one thing business-wise I needed to do that month and I knocked it out. Now, if I feel out of touch at the end of the month, it goes both ways. And I feel like, man, I don't know where my people are. I haven't really been connecting. Well, you only reached out to them 15% of the month. Well, there you go. Now it's like I said, it's data over drama. It's real versus field. I'm not guessing why things are happening. What this also does, though, y'all, is it gives you it's simultaneously rewiring whatever it is you're trying to do. See, it used to be for me was, I wanted to make sure I read the Bible every day. Well, now I read the Bible at night, no matter what. I've rewired my brain to read scripture at night. So that no longer needs to be on my mastery metrics.
Yeah.
I wanted to get better at journaling. I think I just had it was that one Matthew McConaughey got me on IG. It was that Happy Man's Journal. It was a cool little journal, but I like it.
You know what's funny?
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that sometimes get caught into those things.
Yeah, I get got. Yeah, I get what Marshawn say. I'm gonna get mine though more than I get God. I get it. But it was a cool journal. I like the concept behind it. It's called My Happy Man or My Happy Journal. And I don't want to exclude our ladies that are listening either. There's journals specifically for y'all too.
Yeah, they got theirs. Yeah.
But it's very specific. How do you feel today? It's like a smiley face, a frown face, a face. Like it's like that simple. I like that. You know what I mean? It's like, I feel this. Then it has a list of words. Do you feel anxious, resilient, confident? Like you'll just check. And then, hey, what 3 things happened good yesterday for you? Write them down. What are your affirmations for today? Right now, I'm trying to rewire myself as a great partner. So everything my affirmations are: I am a disciplined man. I am a great partner. I am a kind partner. Like I'm being very vulnerable right now. Like this is like me telling my daily affirmations, y'all. Because if y'all rocking with us now, 42 minutes left into this. This is where the neuroplasticity happens. This is where I'm rewiring neuroplasticity. Look it up. I'm literally telling myself every day these 3 things about me. I am a great father, right? It's not just airy fairy. These words are rewiring who I am, right? And then it's like, what are your 3 goals for the day? Boom, 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 write it down, close. And then they have it's cool. They have these questions where you can journal out. They give you like a template if you really want to write something that day of like, hey, what's one of the greatest things that's happened to you in life? And you want to take time and write it out, you can. Some days I do. But I wanted to get better at journaling. I understood that I got a lot of thoughts. Yeah. Some good, some not good. Like I got to get them out on paper.
Yeah.
A lot of relief from there.
So I gotta unpack 2 things from what you just said.
That was a lot too. I'm sorry. Yeah, my bad.
No, it was perfect. And the first thing I want to unpack is when you were doing the affirmation part of it, and I hope this didn't go over a lot of you all heads. He had to be specific about what he's working on in his life right now.
Correct.
Right? It wasn't just, and that's one thing that I want people to realize. When you're writing your affirmations, when you're writing your goals, you have to be very specific and detailed about that.
Correct.
Like right now in the space that you're in, you said being a better partner. So that is your affirmations. That is what you're changing the wiring around. So for you all that's listening and you're doing affirmations, get very detailed about those affirmations. Who are you? Who do you want to become? What are the things you want to change? And you are saying that you are that person now. Because it's working with those that wiring is being changed.
Full circle moment, Jesse. We talked about that. Like we brought everything we just said in the beginning back full circle of how to, right? People are really good at telling you what you should do. My partner Mark says all the time. And I'm saying the word should when I say the statement is like, I hate when people should on me. You know what I mean? Like, don't should on me. So quit telling me what I should do. I'm big on like, here's what I'm doing, and also here are the tools I'm using. Here's a tangible piece. Jesse, yeah, I'm glad you dove in on that, man. Be very, very specific. Because again, every time I write that down, my mind is, you are a kind person, Jordan. You don't react in with a negative manner, angry demeanor about yourself when something comes up. And now, Jesse, that I've been doing it so long, when those moments do arise, my subconscious is like, no, you're not the guy that reacts this way anymore. Like,
Yeah.
think through what you're doing. Like, I already feel it, but that's the hard part too. It's a slow burn, man. Like
Yeah.
what this type of work is slow burn, and it's the equivalent of, if anybody ever had a parent that marked your height, on the door sometimes, and you don't feel yourself growing, but you mark it and you look back and the little pencil mark is an inch, you're like, hey, I thought I was getting taller, like, but you don't feel yourself growing,
Yeah.
but the rest of the world sees it. That's the hard part, man. Like, it's hard to like do that day in and day out, and you're not feeling or seeing the difference, or you don't think you're seeing it, but then you got to show up again and do it. Like, write
Yeah.
those same 3 affirmations again tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I
But
might
that go
go ahead,
no,
Jesse.
no, my bad. I was just gonna say, but that
I'm
goes
good.
back to what you said about with your tracker that you use.
Yes.
Because while you're in the weeds, you're not seeing it. But then when you go back in 30 days and you look at your tracker, you be like, damn, I'm over 70% in all of these categories. Like I actually
I
am
did my thing. I did my thing.
doing
Yeah.
I did my thing. So
Yeah.
it's having those things like you said of tracking what you're doing because
Yep.
you're in the weeds. You need those mile markers. Like when you're running a marathon, it's mile markers to let you know where you are.
Yeah.
And you start feeling good. You know,
Right.
you ran the marathon. We both ran marathons
One
before
and
where
done. One and done. I'll never again. Never again. But yeah, I did. Yeah.
but when you see those mile markers, you're
Yes.
like, oh, okay. I'm not
Yeah.
just running for the hell of it. Like, oh,
Yeah. Imagine
13.1, 15.
imagine running that thing aimlessly, man.
Yeah,
That would be daunting. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, but it's that thing of, like you said, tracking what you're doing because now you probably don't feel like nothing is changing or you can't tell. But as you go back and you revisit, you're like, oh man, oh, I've journaled every day
Yeah.
for the past 30 days. I meditated every day. Like it gives you that good feeling.
Yeah, man. It all translates. You kind of gotta nerd out on your life. You know what I mean? Like, you really do. On it, if you're wanting to progress. For those who are like cool with, like, here's the thing, and I'm not even like being condescending when I say this. I just now started back on these metrics, probably back in July. I had a cool little run where I was like, hey, I like where my life's at right now. I don't need to be overly trying to optimize things. And I got caught in that space too, where like I was overly optimizing, like
Yeah.
waking up at 4:30, cold bath. Like, don't look at no. I've been there, and sometimes I got to go back there if I'm going into a space where I need to, like, I have a heavy lift, or I feel like something. I did it right before I became a bowl coach. Like, I had to lock in prior to study 55 pages of material and only having to present three. I had to lock in. So there's moments where you have to have that grind, heavy lift type mode, but you can't stay in it, man. You gotta enjoy this thing called life, bro. You
Yeah.
just overly out. Like, we're in that kind of culture now, like over optimization. I'm starting to see this a little much for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, at what point you gonna enjoy it? We're human. So
Yeah, and that goes to, one of the things I always bring up of like, putting stuff off, putting that time off that, spending with the family, hanging out with your
okay,
friends. And because we think we have all this time left when we're all walking around with the little sand clock thing that the sand is just going and we don't know when that sand runs out. And one thing I can tell you is if when people are sharing remarks about you on your at their homegoing service, they're not going to say how many hours you worked. They're not going to talk about how much money you made. Now, money is good for the good it's can do. You need to have money to fund the life that you want to have.
right,
I'm going to say that, and you still have to make time for the people you love doing the things you love because it's those memories that they're going to hold on to.
correct, correct. Bro, we can. I mean, we could put a bow on it there,
Yeah,
because we're so in tune to that. Jesse, like our team pilot, we have what's called integration week, where 1 week out of every month there's no meetings, there's no one-on-ones,
like
there's no
that.
training, there's no leadership meetings. We're still available. Like people can still read, like our agents can still get to us, but it's a psychological effect of like, hey, if you want to go take like go. If you want to rest this week, I'll rest. We're training them. It's oscillation. We're training them to come down.
Yeah.
We had record breaking 3 months, April, May, June, record breaking. But we almost forced them to like, hey y'all, take some time off this summer, and you can see the dip in our numbers. But guess what? August is about to be off chain. We about to blow through the roof in August because we resting is an art that requires discipline. People don't realize that resting properly requires discipline. Like that is a discipline.
Yeah.
Anybody, like, we're executive athletes. A football player would not just, this, you're a fighter. You're not gonna go out there and fight 10 fights in a row and not get there and heal or sit in the ice bath. As an ex-athlete, I wasn't gonna play ball 4 back-to-back double headers in baseball and then expect to perform at the level required on that 5th game if I didn't go home, rest, down, regulate my parasympathetic nervous system, get into an ice bath. Like, so people don't realize you got to do the same thing for that in business as a business athlete. You have to down regulate. But we're such in this, it's this grind culture, man. And we got to dial back on that. Like we have to, because the grind is you're grinding because you're trying to get to this level. But the irony is if you just chill for a little bit, you'll get there twice as fast if you let your body recover properly. That takes discipline.
Yeah, and before we wrap up, but that goes back to with people that work out. Your muscle grows during your rest period.
Right. Yeah.
When you're resting, that's when the magic happens. That's why they say you need to get rest. So one thing I always like to do when I wrap up with my guests is, so this is one thing I'm actually adding in. So one thing I always do, but this is a new thing that I'm going to add in that I added in from last time. So 2 questions I'm going to ask as we wrapping up.
Okay.
The first question, if you can go back and have a conversation with your younger self, what would you say? And the second question is one thing that you want to leave with our listeners.
Dang, I wish you gave me these before before I jumped on. What would I say to my younger self? I get asked that a lot, and it always evolves. Not to get too like how young? Like how young are is that younger self? Because it depends on what phase of life I'm in.
The younger self that you, this may be a hard one too, but the younger self that you think needs it the most.
Ooh, you're gonna be all right, kid. Yeah, it's gonna be all right. And I get emotional saying that because like that's a real one. So like, yeah, everything's gonna be all right. Yeah. Just get through this, and once you get out and get in the Navy, you'll be good.
Yes, sir.
All right.
And the last question. Well, not a question, but one thing that you want to leave with our guests. One last parting advice for them.
Yeah. Get intentional. If you've made it this far, walk away with something from this. I'm a end on this one, and then we could drop the mic. Don't be addicted to education and allergic to execution. And you remember I said that at the thing. So take something from this, y'all. If you made it to this point, I got to get back. I got a little emotional there with Jesse's damn question caught me off guard, but I'll throw it off. Get something from this. I'm going to share that spreadsheet with Jesse. So Jesse might have a flood of people hitting you up for this.
Let's do it.
And it's self-explanatory. Like it's easy to fill out, but get intentional. All right, that's it. I'll leave it there.
All right, everybody. Thanks for rocking with us, my dog Jordan. Thanks for stopping by and chopping it up with me.
Yeah,
man. What I'm saying? So again, for everybody, thanks for rocking with us on this episode of Breakthrough Blueprint, the podcast, where we help you tap into your full potential. And we'll see you next week. Peace.
Peace, my